The enthusiasm runs high, and in a few hours, a champion will be crowned. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is now on ESPNU. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. We welcome you to Brunswick Zone Carolier Bowl in North Brunswick, New Jersey, in a repeat of last year's finals, featuring the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Lady Jacks of Stephen F. Austin. Here's how these two teams got here to the championship, both coming all the way through the winner's bracket. The road to the championship paved with gold. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with Hall of Famer Carolyn Doran Ballard. And Carolyn, it's like Yogi Berra used to say, it's deja vu all over again. What's going to happen this time around?
Well, this is an amazing matchup, and it's for two different reasons. You have Nebraska. They are no stranger to the TV finals, 5 championships over the years, and my goodness, they know what it takes to win. Yet on the other hand, we have Stephen F. Austin, who really thought they were going to come through last year. They are on fire, and they want revenge.
They certainly do. Well, you have to get to this point, you've got to have a great anchor bowler, and both these teams have that, and they're both young. A sophomore, Julia Bond, leads the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Julia is a first-team All-American, and again, no stranger to the TV pair, but what really makes her successful? It's the support and the confidence that her team gives her to get up there, step on the lanes, and perform when needed.
For Stephen F. Austin, certainly no slouch in the Bowler of the Year, Stephanie Schwartz.
Again, Bowler of the Year and first-team All-American. Stephanie was out for blood last year. What motivates her? That's the word, motivation. She does whatever it takes to motivate herself to make sure she steps on the lanes and gives it her all. What does that do? It transcends to her team, which then motivates them to be the best, and they are looking for that championship.
In the championship, we use the Baker format. What does that mean?
Baker format is the epitome of team bowling. You're going to have your first bowler bowl the first, the 6th frame. Your second bowler, 2nd frame, 7th frame, and so on. What makes this so crucial? You know what? 2 shots. You got to be prepared, fill a frame, and the team that fills the most frames will be the champion. Great storylines here. Nebraska, they're trying to win their 2nd straight NCAA title and their 6th overall. Meanwhile, for Stephen F. Austin, they're looking for their very first. Something's got to give, and we'll be back with live bowling next. We welcome you back to Brunswick Zone, Carolier Bowl in North Brunswick, New Jersey, with Carolyn Doran Ballard. I'm Dave Armstrong. Glad to have you here. The Nebraska Cornhuskers came in, the #1 team in the country. They were the number 3 seed after the original round of bowling. The number 5 seed was Stephen F. Austin, and now here they are in the championship. There's Nebraska's starting lineup, and Brianna Zabarek is their leadoff bowler. And, of course, we've talked about Julia Bond, the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, been there ever since they started the program. Bill Straub, he has coached both men's and women's programs in Lincoln for 20 years and the 2-time National Coach of the Year. So we're going to start bowling with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the defending champion first. Brianna Zabarek, the lead bowler. She's actually the captain of the team, even though she's only a junior. And that's the way you want to start.
Great starting shot by the Nebraska team. As you can see, one of the things that Nebraska is well known for, they're usually a little bit left of the team they're competing against. And they have that traditional style of really having that straight push away, but a loose swing. Great shot.
Lady Jacks really shaking up their lineup. Here's Carly Larson. Larson has been in the number 4 position. Let's look at the lineup then for the Lady Jacks as they start off with 9 on the first ball. Larson will be followed by Hazelwood, the freshman, then Grant. Paige Kroschauer is also in the lineup, a junior, and then of course we've told you about the Bowler of the Year, Stephanie Schwartz. And a spare start for Carly Larson.
And Speaking with Amber earlier before they started, she said they were looking at their lineup and thinking of making some changes, but they were not going to decide until they got to the TV pair and threw some shots to see what all the girls had as a reaction.
And what's interesting about that, Carolyn, is they dominated their last match, winning 4-0, and yet they've changed that lineup nonetheless. Well, here is Bethany Headley, the senior from England. It's for Nebraska to make an early statement. That's 2 in a row.
Doesn't surprise me one bit that Nebraska's coming out so strong. Once again, they do have, as we know, the most experience. You know, a lot of these college programs put so much emphasis now on the mental game, so they are prepared once that first shot is thrown.
So now here is Dakota Hazelwood, the freshman from Illinois. A little high, but got it to go.
Good shot here around 17 to 12, 10 area. Ball sets nice in the pocket. Talking with John Janowitz, who did the lanes for the tournament this week. Most of the girls did migrate into that 18 to 10 area, 18 to 12 area, but actually tried to stay right as long as possible. We're not seeing that right now.
Well, that's light. Melanie Crawford misses the head pin, and she has some work to do. Well, she gets ready for her second ball. Throwing here is Kiara Grant in the third frame for the Lady Jacks. And that's light.
Not a bad shot, just came in a little bit light of the pocket, leaving the 2-4-5.
And an open frame, so that negates the double to start the game for the Cornhuskers.
Both teams so far playing direct to the pocket, not trying to hook it a lot, not using a lot of surface on the ball, just allowing the pattern to take the ball to the pocket.
And a mark in the third for Kiara Grant. So the lead switches back over to the Lady Jacks. You look at Stephen F. Austin, the program's only been in existence for 6 years and in the finals for the second straight year. Last year they were the number 7 seed coming in and got all the way to the finals. Well, up now for Nebraska, Jasmine Mason, the junior. Third team All-American. I would say Jasmine has maybe been the most consistent bowler here in New Jersey. And another strike for Jasmine Mason. That gets Bill Straub's team back on the mark.
That was a very good aggressive shot by Jasmine. Definitely a lot deeper, crossing over from that 22 to 9-10. She has a little bit more angle down the lane on the ball. She's just gotten better and better. She really has.
Now Paige Croshauer, junior. That went right through the nose. Lucky to not get a split there. He's an easy spare. Nerves have got to be a little tight in this first game. No question about that. All of them just trying to get settled in.
The first game is always, well, every game is going to be tough, but the first game is the toughest. You're trying to get your nerves settled down. You're trying to read the lanes. And here's the thing, with the nerves, you got to make sure you throw good shots so you do read what your ball is doing to make the right adjustments.
Yeah, no open frames for the Lady Jacks. You talked about filling frames, and that's so important.
Absolutely. It's really, it's great to strike. And we heard in some of the interviews, strikes feel great. But when it comes down to Baker and you're looking at that 10th frame, the majority of the time, the team that does fill the most frames and makes the best shots and it covers the spares is the team that goes the furthest in the tournament and has the best chance to win.
Julia Bond. Boy, is that smooth. And back-to-back strikes puts Nebraska back in front. Well, Nebraska so far in this game through 5 frames, they have 4 strikes and an open frame. Now here's Stephanie Schwartz. Just a sophomore and already the bowler of the year.
It's amazing. In talking with the girls beforehand, the collegiate bowling programs, they know what their goal is. They have a plan, and they're going to stick to it. And then if that plan doesn't work, they have a plan B. So they're very well prepared.
And again through the nose. A little bit high on almost every shot for Stephen F. Austin so far. Stephanie last year was the freshman of the year. She's added the player of the year honors to that this year. What more is there for her to accomplish in the next 2 years? Well, not textbook, but she gets him down.
I was actually said, oh, it looked good, but she was walking away from it like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure, I'm not sure.
Now back to the top of the order, and that means Brianna Zabarick. Scholastic All-American, nutrition major. She had a strike in the first frame.
Another key mark there of Nebraska. They get up, they take a practice swing, set up, and go.
Got them to mix up. 3 in a row now for the Huskers. So now back to the top of the lineup for the Lady Jacks. And this is Carly Larson. Spent her first 2 years at Valparaiso. Was that smooth?
Tonight we have 2 left-handers on the pair, so you're actually going to see the lane on the left side transition a little bit. And they are starting further left than the actual right-handers starting further right. If you notice that, even with the pattern being 42 feet, the left-handers are able to stay a little bit further left, be a little bit more direct.
Well, here's another lefty, Bethany Headley. She is a senior now. Boy, how time flies. She also is a Scholastic All-American. She had a strike in the second. And couldn't quite get that 3-pin to wiggle down.
One of the things I'd really like, aspiring bowlers that are watching at home, especially our young ladies, look at these girls get to the foul line. Ball comes in just a little bit light, leaves the 3-pin, but not a bad shot at all. Watch these girls get to the foul line. Textbook. I mean solid fundamentals. There is no use of the upper body. It is simply set, go, swing, let the ball roll off your hand. And that really is what makes these programs so fundamentally sound, is that their basics are so good.
Well, let's take a look now at Planning for Success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. And these are what you think are some of the keys to this match.
Right now, for Stephen F. Austin, it is making sure that they stay within the fundamentals. They want to make sure that they are staying in the moment, working as a team on those fundamentals. Yet their weakness, they feel like, you know what? They can get caught up on what the other team is doing. We look at Nebraska. Simple as it can be. Stay calm, and what else? Keep the nerves under control. Not once does Nebraska ever think of the other team. Yet on the other side, I said to Bill, so what's the weakness? I mean, if you're going to keep it so simple. And he looked right back at me and said, well, the weakness is not accomplishing the first 2.
Yeah,
I mean, which is the strength. And you know what? It is that simple.
Well, here's Melanie Crawford. Let's see if she can bounce back from an open frame in the third. That was a better shot and leaves just the 10.
really good shot. Look at that left arm out to the side for balance. Great knee bend. Head over the knee just slightly. Long follow through. Great shot. Ring 10.
Back to Kiara Grant. And again, she gets him to mix up. That's another strike for Stephen F. Austin.
One of the keys to the game tonight, I think, is also going to be, see, that last shot came in just a little bit light. I wouldn't move. I would just make sure you stay firm, get through the shot, because within a few frames, all of the girls are starting to migrate to the same part of the lane. The lane will start breaking down.
The one big difference so far in this first game is Nebraska had those 3 strikes in a row. They had the 2 straight to start the game, then an open, and then 3 more in a row. And they go back to one of their All-Americans, third team All-American, Jasmine Mason. Coming off a spare in the 8th. Up 16 right now, the Huskers. Jazz had a strike in the 4th. Real trouble now, because this is the foundation frame, the 9th. And that's the last thing that guy wanted to see.
That shot, she was just a little bit more direct through the front. Didn't quite get the ball down the lane to the right. Snaps right off the end of the pattern. Now this spare is makeable. Slide that pin right over into the 10 pin. Slide the 4 right into the 10.
Hey, Croshour trying to double up. No, leaves the 10. Go for pin count here, or you really try to make it?
I go for pin count.
And that's what they got. So the second open frame for Nebraska. That makes it tense in the 10th.
I'm going to go on a prediction here because I feel like I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I think if Stephen F. Austin comes out strong and wins the first 2 games, it is their best chance overall to win the championship. As the lanes break down and people migrate left, that is Nebraska's strength. And I think Stephen F. Austin knows that.
Well, it's still anybody's first game here. But the lead is just 2 pins now for Stephen F. Austin. Bond had a strike in the 5th. That's a good start to the 10th.
Great shot once again. Look at this. Picture perfect. Head right over the knee, like I said earlier. Left arm out for balance. They use their legs, no upper body movement. We teach that so much now with the modern game. You want the upper body as still as possible. That also includes the head, because everybody wants to bob their head. Head and upper body still as possible.
Here's Schwartz. Well, she has to answer whatever Bond does. Bond can close her out if she strikes out. That would give Nebraska a 2-pin win in game 1. So here are the anchor bowlers going head-to-head, each with a starting strike in the 10th. Now she's forced Schwartz to double up.
This is what Nebraska is known for, applying the pressure early. That's why I said earlier, if Stephen F. Austin can get out ahead, I think it's their best chance. I'm not saying they're out of it. That is not what I mean. But Nebraska's asset is moving left and applying pressure all the time in the 10th.
Schwartz has to strike. And that will do it. Nebraska will win game 1. Even though they had the open in the 9th frame, Julia Bond, their first team All-America, bails them out with 2 strikes, and then who knows on the 3rd ball here in the 10th. Pretty good first game. If they're all like this, we're in for quite a championship.
It'll be interesting to see what she does on her fill shot, see if Bill moves her somewhere else on the lane, just to see what type of reaction may be out there in another part of the lane.
Okay, didn't matter. It's a good thing it didn't matter. 7 pin counts might have cost them game 1 if Schwartz had come up with a strike on that 2nd ball. So 2:05 the finish for Nebraska in game 1. And there they're just looking to see where's the spot to throw that strike.
And she did the right thing. She moved just a little bit left, tried a little bit of a different angle into the pocket, and I think that's where the pattern is going to lead these bowlers inside.
So Nebraska takes game 1, 205 to 193. It's the best of 7, and the Huskers, trying to win back-to-back championships, win the first game. You're looking at Julia Bond. She might be small in stature, but she has a huge game, helping to lead Nebraska this year to that #1 ranking. They've got that target on their back, and she knows it.
Knowing that there's a target on your back sometimes feels interesting. I'm not sure if that's the right word. Sometimes I forget because of how much success we've had and the support that we have for with each other. And so knowing that a majority of people out there might root against us, as long as we're rooting for each other, you don't really feel it.
Right now they're feeling pretty good after winning game 1. You see, she was a first-team All-American, and talking about the success Nebraska's had. Not only did they win last year, they won in 2013, they won in 2009, they won in 2004 and 2005. That's the first 2 years of the NCAA championships.
I don't really want to date myself because we didn't have NCAA bowling when I bowled in college, but I do want to say that even back then, Nebraska was dominant. I mean, they were dominant then, and they're even more dominant now. And again, I say it's because of, they stick to a game plan. They focus on fundamentals, and they work within the girls' strengths. They don't try to make them do something they are not capable of. And that is the key to bowling with confidence.
Here's Brianna Zabarick. I want to talk to you a little bit about, though, how other teams are starting to close that gap a little bit. It used to be top 2, 3, 4 programs in the country and then everyone else. Now we saw it here this week. The 8 teams that came here, any one of them could have won this.
Okay, I'm gonna give another example because I know everybody so well, but we got Becky Kregling here from Sacred Heart keeping score. Prime example. I truly believe not only has the talent level gotten better where they're so much further along than they were years ago. In other words, when they leave high school, they're much better bowlers before they get to college. But one of the keys, the coaches have become better, which means they have educated themselves, so the program moves along quicker, and so does the capability of the bowlers.
Ooh, an open frame for Stephen F. Austin to start game 2, missing the 4-pin. That was Carly Larson. So Zabarick with a chance. Put Nebraska on top, and she does with a spare.
Something we talked about in the open, and I do stress it, you want to fill frames. And when you do leave a single pin, more than likely you are supposed to make that spare because you don't want that 1 pin to come back and possibly haunt you. But it's the first frame. There's a lot of game left. They need to regroup.
Another strike for Dakota Hazelwood, her 2nd strike. That freshman feels no pressure.
Great feedback she needs to be giving her team. She's throwing it a little bit more direct. She's using her ball speed to keep the ball on line. Ball's not reading too early. Stays right on line and finishes just enough in the pocket. Gets all 10.
And again, one of 2 lefties bowling here in the championship final. This is Bethany Headley of Nebraska. Bethany had a strike and a spare in the first game. That looks good. That looked good. halfway down the lane.
Bethany has thrown some really good shots tonight. She had a very good look in practice. When I saw her warming up earlier, look at this, very direct. Her swing stays right in line with her target. Direct up the lane, very smooth off her hand. Just rolls through it. Great reaction.
Kara Grant. There's Eyes going over to the other side, and the 5-pin left standing. Now it looks like Stephen F. Austin is still struggling and finding the right route to the pocket.
Well, once again, they changed lanes, and this is why that team chemistry is so important, that team communication. You need to, while you're bowling on the one lane, you definitely need to look at what the other team is doing and where they're playing so that you are a little more prepared in making the adjustments a little quicker once you get to that next lane.
Now here comes Melanie Crawford. That's a little more direct, and back-to-back strikes for the Huskers. Boy, they're tough.
Playing about 17 out to about 10. Keeping it on line, the front part of that lane. Boy, I'll tell you, that the key to Nebraska, I said it, they are just going to migrate to where their strong point is. That is that inside line. Their team is so good at being able to read the transition very quickly, making that move, and they're able to do that 20 to 12 if they have to get in there. So, Stephen F. Austin needs to regroup, make some good shots, stay in this game, and then decide what they're going to do when they go back to that right lane.
Paige Krausauer with her first strike of the night. Open to start the game for Stephen F. Austin, and then a couple of spares and their first strike of game 2. Now let's see if Jasmine Mason can make it 3 in a row for Nebraska. It's interesting how similar the routine, that pre-shot routine, is for a lot of these Husker gals.
That's been years. As long as I can remember Nebraska bowling, that is what I remember. Pre-shot routine, pre-shot swing, and then you get up there and execute. And again, I state, if you watch both teams bowl, none of these girls are pulling up at the line. They are smooth, there's leverage, they're using their legs. Swing is dropping from the top right through.
Mason with a relatively easy spare. Any single pin spare is generally considered one you have to have.
Well, it should be a lot easier to make than a cluster, correct?
Yes,
we think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yet when you're standing up there, and this goes back to the mental game, but when you're standing there, say as a freshman bowler, and you have the 10-pin staring at you,
yeah,
it can be intimidating.
Sure. Well, here's Stephanie Schwartz. Steph had a spare to strike, and of course that split in the 10th frame. Oh, yes. Got the 10 to trip out.
Gets that love tap right at the end to knock out that 10. You saw in her fill shot, after she split, she made the adjustment, moved a little bit more left. This is a great shot, coming in half pocket, but got the tap.
Awful nice
Good
when that
connection.
6 comes out of the gutter and just taps it home.
Perfect.
So now Julia Bond. So she had a good first game. 3 strikes. Lead down to 10 for Nebraska. This looks high. Oh, man. You got to go pin count here. 4, 6, 7, 10.
Shot looked pretty good off her hand. She might have missed just a little bit left. Right here, ball starts to hook up just a little bit sooner, right through the nose. Definitely needs to go for the 2 pins. Count is very important.
Looks like she was almost going for it. We'll see if that single pin that she doesn't get here comes back to haunt them. So from a 10-pin advantage to a 7-pin deficit now, and a chance as we go back to the top of the order, and Carly Larson for the Lady Jacks to kind of start taking control of this game. White.
Definitely wasn't as clean out of that ball as she was previously. Ball never picked up where it needed to, but she got a break and leaves 9. She just needs to make the spare.
Back to the top of the order for Nebraska. Barrick had a spare in the first. Not this time. That gets Nebraska rolling again. I think it's so important to follow some kind of an open frame with something just like this.
Well, one of the keys, too, is having that leadoff bowler that is your steady Eddie. That's what I've always called the leadoff bowler, your steady Eddie, the person that's always going to hit the pocket. Whether, you know, the 1-2, 1-3, depending on whether they're left-handed or right-handed, but this person that can keep the ball in the pocket, read what the transition is, and give that feedback to the team. She's a very, very good leadoff bowler.
Dakota Hazelwood now. Think of how young this Stephen F. Austin program is and how young this team is. They just get better and better every year. Crossing over for the strike. Not where she wanted it, but she'll take it now. Well, we're near Brooklyn.
I was going to say it's the perfect Brooklyn. And when she let that go, you could tell she definitely missed left. She didn't really came over the top of it just a little bit. But you know what? Here's the thing. You know, it's Baker. You get 2 shots. If you make a bad shot and you get a break like that, oh well, gotta take advantage of it, right?
Too bad. They say in golf they don't put pictures on the scorecard. They don't put pictures on the scoring sheet in bowling. Well, a little high, but it'll go anyway. The 6 trips out. And back-to-back strikes for the Huskers.
She put her hand over her mouth. I don't think she was sure. She looked a little bit slow on this shot. Ball picked up a little bit sooner, but look what I found.
I love the routine where she does a little curtsy at the end.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit slow, but she still threw it pretty good. Trip 6. Oh.
Kara Grant. 3 in a row. Oh, we got a shootout developing now. Excuse me, 2 in a row for Stephen F. Austin. Back-to-back strikes. Gives them a 6-pin lead.
Really good, important shot right there. Leads up to the foundation frame of the 9th. I don't think they're going to be taking pressure off the anchor bowler, but boy, it sure does keep them right in this match.
Well, here's the 8th frame for Nebraska, and another senior, Melanie Crawford. Crawford and Headley, the 2 seniors of Nebraska. Well, a crossover doesn't work, and the 6-9-10 remains. That cost them some pin count here after they were working on a double.
Bill and Paul.
Yeah, Paul, his assistant, Paul Klempa. And there's the spare in the 8th frame. Well, it's coming down to the 9th and 10th for both these teams.
One thing you'll see out of the Nebraska team, they don't really change balls to shoot their spares. They flatten it out with their hand, but they still use their first ball. Very important. They become a little more versatile, and they can do that on all the different conditions.
Cross shower in the 9th. Looked right, but got it to mix. Sometimes that's the best shot.
Got that ball out to about 9. Comes in light. Blows the rack. seems to be the best hit in the house.
Yeah, it does.
We've seen a lot of ring 10s when they come in solid. That light hit has been the one that's really missed.
Now the pressure really on Jasmine Mason. 19-pin lead for Stephen F. Austin. Lady Jacks trying to even this championship a game apiece. That's way up. Oh my. Well, that's not a lead you normally see in bowling, just a head pin.
No, but boy, the way the pins were going, she almost got a really good break there. Got this ball way right of where she was. She was only getting out to about 9-10. Got that one way right. But got a break. Rather shoot at the head pin than the 1-2-4.
Chance for her to try to get a line. And she goes at that head pin. Look at the anchor comparison so far in this match. And the open frame for Julia Bond, that came when it really didn't matter. The game had already been won by Nebraska. Well, a mark to win for Stephen F. Austin. That'll do it. So they come back and take game 2. What a finish. Just that little opening by Nebraska. All of a sudden, Stephen F. Austin strikes in the 7th, 8th, 9th, and the first ball in the 10th. This is just to get lined up. No other purpose except that for Bond. Just trying to get lined up. Maybe try different paths, see if something else works.
On that first shot by Stephanie, seemed like she increased her ball speed just a little bit, kept it a little bit more on line. Really good shot.
How's this finish? Well, the Lady Jacks have found their groove here in game 2. 5 strikes in a row to close it out, maybe 6.
After each shot with Coach Straub, you know, just so that it's important, just so that he knows what they're seeing, because he may be seeing something different sitting in the back. So great communication.
Well, Stephen F. Austin closes out the game with strikes from the 7th frame on. 6 strikes in a row for a 238 finish. Wow. And that closes things out for Nebraska. 238 to 198 in game 2. So now we're tied at a game apiece. Game 3 of the NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is coming up from New Jersey next. Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Bowling Championship from North Brunswick, New Jersey. Here we are tied at 1 game apiece, and now it's a best-of-5 series. Speaking of 5, how about Nebraska and their 5 NCAA championship titles, followed by Maryland Eastern Shore with 3, Fairleigh Dickinson with a couple, Sam Houston State and Vanderbilt each have 1. And by the way, Nebraska has been to the championship all 13 years in its existence, winning the first 2 and winning the last one as well. They have a chance, if they win today, to win 3 of their last 4. So for the latest in the world of women's sports, we invite you to log on to ESPNW.com. It includes news and updates on your favorite female athletes. Log on ESPNW.com. We'll come back with more live bowling. Game 3 is coming up from the Brunswick Zone Carol Ear Bowl in North Brunswick, New Jersey. We'll be right back. Stephen F. Austin, Nebraska. They're fighting for the NCAA Women's Bowling Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. And here we are getting ready for the start of Game 3, all tied at 1. With Hall of Famer Carolyn Doran Ballard, I'm Dave Armstrong at Brunswick Zone Carol Ear Bowl in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Nebraska took Game 1 205 to 193. Stephen F. Austin came back, dominating performance, striking from the 7th frame on in Game 2 to win 238 to 198. You look at the Lady Jacks of Stephen F. Austin, and I mentioned they're only in their 6th year of a bowling program out of Nacogdoches, Texas, which is not a metropolitan area, is it? The school founded way back in 1923, and they have an enrollment of over 12,000 students. What a terrific job their head coach has done. Amber Lemke and her husband Steve Lemke, who is a volunteer assistant. And this is a program on the rise, no question about it, Stephen F. Austin. Now we're ready for live bowling again, and we get ready for Game 3 now, and Brianna Zabarek will lead things off for the Huskers. Zabarek writing different things on her hand. What's she doing there? And what's she talking about with her coach, Bill Straub?
It's one of those things. They are really just looking for little reminders before they step on the approach. And honestly, when you are in the heat of the battle, your mind sometimes goes everywhere because you're thinking about a lot of things. You can be overwhelmed. So I have seen it before, and I have done it. Write it on your hand just to remind you. Maybe it might be something as easy as slow down, be smooth, whatever it be, just a little reminder.
Well, whatever she wrote on her hand, it worked.
Very traditional style. Has a really long swing and reach. Great shot.
Here's Carly Larson. With a strike. Going back to that last game now, 7 straight strikes for Stephen F. Austin.
Still on a roll, little bit more direct. This ball picked up just a little sooner than that last shot on the left lane when she didn't get out of it as clean. Good reaction.
Looks like both teams starting to get really comfortable too in the atmosphere, the lanes, all of that. They're smiling more. Like they're having more fun. A lot of the tension from Game 1 is gone away. And
I do think both teams are comfortable here for different reasons. So that's starting to come through.
Bethany Headley trying to make it 2 in a row. Got that 6-pin to trip out. That's 2 times in a row she's done that.
Last time, another trip 6. The way it goes, I don't know if you're supposed to move off that or not.
You like that little curtsy at the end, and she's from England, and one of her teammates has nicknamed her the Queen. Here's Dakota Hazelwood. She's been solid. Solid! And how's the future of this team look with Hazelwood a freshman and Schwartz a sophomore?
Stephen F. Austin is definitely looking much more calm and in tune with that right lane instead of when they first started. And that, of course, comes from what we've discussed. The first game, a little bit of jitters, still trying to feel out the lanes, definitely looking more confident. And the finish of that last game has definitely carried over.
3 in a row for Nebraska. Melanie Crawford makes it a turkey.
Gives it a little chant right there after it's over.
Who's going to blink first? Garrett Grant. Not her. Each team starting with 3 straight strikes.
And we've seen it all. We've seen the ball come in light, blow the rack, we're starting to see now those solid hits. The 10 kick out. Left-handers moving a little bit more direct, tripping the 6, coming in light and blowing out the 5. So you're seeing all the different carry.
Right now, a little conversation with Bill Straub, Paul Klempa, as they talk with Jasmine Mason, who's up next. Jasmine's sort of been a little bit lost ever since that first ball where she had a strike. Ever since then, she doesn't seem like she is confident of the line that she's going to use. Let's see if that changes here. She certainly has the talent. Look better. Yeah, still light. Still struggling to get it back into that pocket.
She likes to go around the pattern just a little bit. She likes to get her ball down the lane. She gets around the ball just a little bit more than the other girls. Angles just don't seem to be where they need to be. She's just throwing it too far right, getting it right to the spot. One of the things we definitely saw this week is that with ball speed, if you moved left and threw it to the right, it did not hook. It went right through the pattern, never recovered.
4 in a row for Stephen F. Austin. And if you go back to the last game where they ended with 6 straight, that's now 10 in a row for the Lady Jacks.
Another great shot, a little more direct, 13-9. Not much, belly in the front part of the lane where the load of oil is. Just playing it. We're allowing the ball to be smooth off of the end of that pattern right into the pocket.
So we move now to the 5th frame. More pressure building on Nebraska. As right now, Stephen F. Austin is in a zone where they can't miss. So here's Julia Bond. Seven just wouldn't go.
Really good shot. She made a little bit of a bump left. She doesn't like to hook the ball a lot. She doesn't like her ball to go way right in the front part of that lane. She likes to keep in front of her, but she's got to get a little bit more left. And talking to both coaches during the break, the teams, they say the pattern is becoming a little more defined, and their teams are both just chasing it left, trying to keep those angles just a little bit more square instead of trying to open up the lane too much.
Schwartz. Wow. 5 in a row.
One of the key factors that Stephen F. Austin is really putting to effect right now, their players are using their ball speed to keep the ball on line to the pocket. They are not trying to get out of their norm.
Nebraska has to just fill frames and somehow hope that Stephen F. Austin will cool off a little bit. 11 straight strikes for the Lady Jacks. So if they get a strike here, if you combine games, if you get 300.
Is there any incentive for that? I don't know.
I don't think you get any extra credit.
You get an extra trophy.
No, it'd be nice. Zabaric, that's high, and that had danger written all over it from the minute he left her hand. Maybe some of the pressure getting to Nebraska a little bit with all these strikes on the other side.
A little bit too direct. She has a little bit more side rotation, so her ball tends to pop just a little bit more down lane. She's going to have to make that move left.
Well, here's Carly Larson. Try to open this game with 6 in a row. Why not? Crossover on the other side. Wow, that's 12 straight. And again, going for pin count. Zabaric. Not much you can do when the other team is doing what they're doing.
No, and like I said, in speaking with the coaches, they said their team was just going to chase the pattern to the left. But one of the things Nebraska has done really well over the years is even when that starts where their ball's too much on the back end, their players can get underneath it, flatten it out just a little bit, and get a little more end over end, which will tame down that motion.
Mm-hmm. Well, here comes the queen, Bethany Headley, journalism major, Scholastic All-American. That one a little bit lighter than what she has experienced the last 2 times, but that's 3 straight strikes for Headley. And here comes Dakota Hazelwood, experiencing her first NCAA championship. And the first non-strike of the game.
Looks like she might have gotten just a little quick. She lost it right there at the bottom, just a little bit. You can see her try to get her body to steer it back.
At this point, with this big a lead, you want to make sure you fill frames. It'd be really hard for Nebraska to come all the way back unless Stephen F. Austin has an open frame or 2.
Yes, and if you live by my philosophy, you never have enough pins till the game is over.
Right. And that's a filled frame. So the lead 44 for the Lady Jacks. What did they ever do before portable fans?
They just blew on it.
Rosin,
all the old time things, you know, the common
wave
way.
the towel.
Yeah. Wipe it on your shirt.
Kids these days, huh? All their gadgets. Well, Melanie Crawford makes it 2 in a row.
Much better shot. She likes to pitch the ball out on the lane just a little bit. So her ball's definitely going to conserve and get through the pins just a little differently than everybody else on the team. So she does like to increase her ball speed a little bit. But like I said, one of the key factors both coaches told me is they're just going to keep chasing it until they feel like their players have to really change their hand.
Despite starting the game with 6 straight strikes, even if Austin still doesn't have this one locked up. They have a huge lead, but right now Nebraska has fought back with 2 straight strikes.
Again, look at that follow through, right side of the head pin all the way through straight. Tells you right there that her swing is nice and straight and right next to her body, elbow in. Great shot.
Mentioned Carly started at Valpo and now in her junior campaign, tugged a little bit, nothing held on. Got a little back up to it. So another spare and filling frames, making it harder for Nebraska to come back, but they can cut that lead to 23 with another strike here. Nebraska still has a chance for a 244 in this game. Excuse me, 242. But look at Stephen F. Austin. They could have a 265.
Big shot here in the 9th. To force Stephen F. Austin to stay strong through the 9th and 10th frame.
And that one did come all the way back. So 3 in a row for the Huskers. They're not going down without a fight here in game 3. So here's Paige Croshour. Just one senior on the Lady Jack team. That's Danielle Lynn.
And to have this much success with a young team, I mean, that is really, if that doesn't boost your confidence for, you know, you're doing something right in the program to have that much success with young players.
How about that? From a possible split to a strike. That brings a smile to her head coach's face. Amber Lemke loves that. Julia Bond can do is just finish strong here in the 10th inning and then force a mark, which she's already done. So right now, Stephanie Schwartz has to stay away from some kind of a split, get a spare, and then come up with at least 8 points. 8 pins, excuse me. Key shot. That's a key shot, and that's a winner. Still needs 8 pins, but you'd figure with 2 balls she'll get that. How do they do it? They're just sophomores. The experience they get in the junior ranks and then now here in college.
And one of the keys, you know, that Stephanie was talking about was when I am under the pressure, I make sure I breathe and I'm reflecting back on what my team has said to me, and it motivates me to get up there and do the best I can.
And Bond has been just absolutely stellar here in this championship.
Julia's a great one to watch there as she sets up. She has that left hand, her support hand, underneath the ball, distributing the ball weight to her left hand, which allows her swing, allows that ball to get into the swing nice and smooth.
8 pins. That'll do it. Just almost nonchalant about it, too. Wow. Well, we told you right from the outset, in the open, each of these teams with a great anchor, and man, they have really proven that so far in these first 3 games. Strikes in a row for Julia Bond in that 10th frame, and that gives Nebraska a 242 total, and they're not going to win. How good is this bowling?
That's amazing. I mean, 242, you would expect to, yes,
you bet,
definitely be winning the match.
And instead, it's a 265 finish for Stephen F. Austin. Wow, what a game 3. What do we have in store as we continue on? Stephen F. Austin, 265 to 242. Wow, and a 2-1 lead for the Lady Jacks. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. With Carol and Doran Ballard, I'm Dave Armstrong. Glad to have you back at the Brunswick Zone Carolier Bowl in North Brunswick, New Jersey. You see our score, Stephen F. Austin. They've won back-to-back games and have a 2-1 lead over the defending champion Nebraska Cornhuskers. So we're all set for game 4, and this is Carly Larson to lead things off. Crossed over and lucky to get that 5 to go that avoided a pretty nasty split to start the game. Brianna Zabarek getting ready for Nebraska.
I saw Coach Straub take her over to the side during the break with Coach Paul, and I believe they had her doing some drills to try to get her swing the way they felt it needed to be able to project that ball just a little bit to the right.
Well, it worked. Still want her to move a little bit left on the approach. Didn't like the looks of that one. And an open frame and an open opportunity for Nebraska. Carly Larson opens with 9 pins in game 4.
And that's one of those moments where they've come off the last 2 games have been really a rally for them. They ended with 7 in a row, went on to shoot, you know, the 260 game. First frame open, they need to forget about it and know how they've rallied back.
4 strikes in 6 frames for Dakota. Almost another, but leaves the 10.
Great shot. Ball got down the lane just a little bit further. Still kept the ball where it needed to be. Needs to pick up the spare.
Haley with some last words of encouragement from one of her teammates. She was talking to that ball the whole way.
And if I remember correctly, she's either struck or I think she's left the 3-pin.
I think that's right.
She's come in light, left the 3-pin, gotten a break.
Well, nope. Went in the channel. That'll be another open frame. That spare will not count. It went in the channel first.
This right here is where the team needs to get together. They need. Ball just slides off the lane. There's, you know, she changed to a spare ball. I'm going to chalk that up to just a mental error. You know, the nerves seem to have settled down a little bit. Yet on the other hand, you don't want to get ahead of yourself. You've got to still maintain that composure. Every shot is important. You need to make the spares.
Well, it gives Nebraska a chance to open a 22-pin lead with back-to-back open frames by Stephen F. Austin, coming off a game in which they had 10 strikes. Well, let's see if Kiara Grant can get him back on track. And a split. 4-9, not easy. Equivalent of a 5-10.
Not a bad shot off her hand at all. About 17 out to 10. Ball comes, you know, snaps just that little bit on the end, leaves the 4-9.
Doors wide open for Nebraska right now to even up this match at 2 games apiece.
You definitely want to be sure of one on that 4-9, but once again, if you hit the left side,
yeah, it's
that
doable.
4-pin, you can absolutely.
Right, 10-pin, no. If you can make a 4-9 split, it can really be a pick-me-up for your team.
Especially after their first 2 frames.
Yeah. This came out of nowhere. I mean, they were on a roll. We mentioned 238 in game 2 and 265 in game 3. Didn't quite flip it enough, and 3rd straight open frame to open game 3. Crawford got it. The looks aren't quite as comfortable for Stephen F. Austin here. And you look at the husband of Amber Lemke, their head coach. This is Steve Lemke, volunteer assistant. There you go. Paige Kroschauer with the strike in the 4th.
Paige has been stellar on keeping that ball where it needs to be, keeping it right in front of her, not getting it too far right down the lane. She has a little bit of side rotation, as you can see, spins it just a little bit, actually, just a little bit. But she has been really rock solid for filling her frame, and that really needs to be the changing point in this game.
Here's Mason. Kind of struggling a little bit and finding the correct line for her. She's different than the others. She might have found something, though, with her last ball, which was a strike. Yep, 2 in a row. Now she looks more locked in. I think that's a sigh of relief right there, like, oh, finally, I think I found it.
Much better shot. Her body language is even better, especially setting up.
Yeah.
Much better. Not getting it so far right down the lane. Actually keeping it a little bit more in front of her, the front part of the lane. Allowing the ball to float it to the end of the pattern. Great reaction.
What are your thoughts on Schwartz's game?
I think they're all good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to, I mean, there's not a bad bowler.
Not her best shot, but you're right. I mean, she is the player of the year, or the bowler of the year.
What I like is, you can pick any one of them. I mean, like we're saying, here just so happens that Julia's getting up on the lane. Once again, I said she's a great one to look. All the girls, or the majority of them, do it. Use that other hand to support the ball weight so that their swing can be a little bit, you don't want muscle when you set up. You don't want muscle in your swing. You want to be nice and smooth and roll it off.
Another good shot from Bond.
Another great shot.
Doesn't get it to go, but that's still a good shot.
Well, again, if you're just tuning in, what do all of these girls have in common? Look how straight her swing is. Rock solid at the line, using her legs. That right there is solid fundamentals.
I would just say balance, right? Look at the balance they have. There's a good spare. And no harm, no foul, because that was coming off a strike. Although it's still a 32-pin lead for Nebraska. Three straight open frames to start the game for Lady Jackson. Nebraska was able to take advantage. They've filled every frame so far. And now, just as I say that, the announcer jinx, and they have an open here in the fifth.
Well, actually, what I was going to say is Nebraska really isn't stringing the strikes together, which is keeping Stephen F. Austin in the match. But, of course, with that open, it definitely narrows the lead.
Sure does. Now it's down to 20. Carly Larson, too high, and another baby split. Very makeable at 2-7.
When we saw the back view, when she keeps her ball a little bit straighter, more up the lane, she's had better reaction. Once she closes down on it and misses to the right, her ball just picks up on the right.
On the other side as well, was lucky to leave just the 3-6.
And you can see when she was coming back off the lane, she took her hand and rolled it over the top of it. When she thumbed it down, came over the side of it, which is allowing her ball to really read the end of the pattern and have a lot more reaction on the back end than she really wants at this point.
A lot of discussion from Bill Straub and Paul Klempa right now.
Well, there's one now talking about probably how we mentally get back in focus after the missed spare.
Yeah.
And we have the other coach, Paul, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do to make this spare based on what the other players are telling him.
Brianna will go after her spare first and get it. And now it's up to Carly Larson to try to convert the 2-7 split, or what bowlers like to call the baby split. Well, we're going to sub on the spare ball. Interesting. This is a position to come in. Danielle Lynn, the lone senior.
This is really an interesting move because they really aren't still in this match. Yet this spare is probably a little easier for a right-hander than a left-hander. Makes it from the outside.
Yep.
And she gets one more shot of being warmed up on the pair, getting used to her surroundings. So obviously we've got a sub change.
So Danielle Lynn comes in. How's that for a pinch hit performance? And now back to their number 2 bowler, Dakota Hazelwood. The sense that Coach Lemke was going to make a change anyway. He decided, well, if we're going to make a change, why not do it here where that split is easier for a right-handed bowler?
Absolutely.
Pretty strategic. Now Bethany Headley.
Let's go, Bethany!
You can see the difference in how the right-handers and left-handers are playing the pattern too. The right-handers are, most of them are throwing stronger balls, maybe with a little bit of surface, just maybe 3,000. The left-handers are using balls that are a little bit more skid flippy with a little surface to tame down that backhand reaction so they can play a little bit more direct.
6 strikes now for Headley. That does make her the queen. And the spare for Hazelwood. 23 pins separate these two teams as we head to the 8th frame. Melanie Crawford getting that last word of advice from her coach. 2-time National Coach of the Year, Bill Straub. Now they're going to let Stephen F. Austin go first. Kiara Grant getting set up. And a strike in the 8th.
Really big shot for Stephen F. Austin. That sets up the foundation frame bowler. They can start putting them together. They're going to change this right around and put the pressure on Nebraska.
But remember, Nebraska coming off a strike from the 7th. So if Melanie Crawford could get another strike in the 8th, would up that lead to 33. Let's see what happens. There it is. 2 in a row this time for Nebraska, and a 33-pin lead.
Gets that ball. She's pretty smooth. She gets it out in front of her, but really drops the ball right into her swing. Like I said, likes to pitch it just a little bit. She's a little more underneath it. Great reaction. Nice and smooth.
Before the trip out, giving just the 9 in the 9th.
Another good shot. Just comes in a little hard at the end, but gets the 4 out and only leaves the 9.
So now Julia Bond can really set, or excuse me, Jasmine Mason can really set things up for Julia Bond. Already coming off a double. The best shot of the match came in the 4th frame. And follows it up with another in the 9th. You can tell right now she's a different person out there on the lanes, and she gets locked in like this.
Really good shot. Walks it off to the left. That's a little attitude.
And the spare follow from Stephen F. Austin. Paige Kroschauer able to convert that spare. When you look at the anchor comparison, we said these two were terrific, and they have not disappointed. Only 174 possible.
It's basically over. So they may talk, Stephen F. Austin here may talk a little bit about some strategy, maybe moving on the lane, trying a different hand position just to see what's going on out there.
It's over now. With that strike, that officially puts Nebraska on top here in Game 4, and they'll even up this match 2 games apiece and make it a best 2 out of 3 for the national championship. Meanwhile, kind of just a slightly different line to see what's out there.
Moved even a little bit further left.
Right. Correct.
Which is what they need to look at to see how much more oil there is to push the ball down the lane, just to give a different look, a little bit of a different entry angle into the pocket. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Three open frames in a row for Stephen F. Austin at the start of Game 4 doomed them from the beginning.
Around that fifth or sixth frame, it still, was teetering back and forth. Anybody had the possibility, but once you start stringing those strikes together, it really does, it changes the whole match, not only by score, but how the girls feel.
So 164 total for Stephen F. Austin in Game 4. 227 possible for Nebraska. Just looking at pin count here. How about that finish for the Huskers? Starting in frame number 7, 6 strikes in a row for Bill Straub's team. And how about the Huskers as they string together some strikes? And they finish it with a little bit of a dab as well, as Nebraska has evened things up at 2-2. Well, fans here in New Jersey are excited as this championship final has reached a 2-2 spot in the proceedings, and so now it's a best 2 out of 3 match to see who will win the 2016 NCAA Women's Bowling Championship. Great crowd on hand here, almost standing room only, to watch Nebraska, led by their head coach Bill Straub and their leadoff bowler Brianna Zabarek. And, of course, Stephen F. Austin looking for their first ever NCAA championship. Zabarek not happy as soon as it left her hand. She goes, uh-oh. And we got 9 out of it.
Pushes the ball out, but just quite doesn't get the ball down the lane to the right where it needs to be. She needs to get that ball to about 9-10. Thing about it is, too, I think she's getting around it just a little bit too much. She needs to be a little more up the back of it. Slow that ball down as it's making its way to the pocket.
Danielle Lynn.
Smoother motion.
Danielle Lynn, she came on in relief of Carly Larson on a spare ball and will stay in now to lead things off for the Lady Jacks. And there is a spare for Brianna Zabarek. For those amateur bowlers like me out there, can you give me a tip on how to make this 10-pin for a right-handed bowler? It's the toughest one for me to tackle.
Make sure your shoulder's in line with the target.
Okay,
and be as smooth as possible like you are on your first shot. Do the same thing on your second shot and go. Don't think about it. It's all about lines in bowling. If your shoulder is in line with where you're trying to get your ball, if you get the ball off your hand the way you need to, and you have a straight swing, the ball will go in that direction.
Okay. Thanks
and
for the
using
tip.
the spare ball is not so bad. It goes straight. You can throw right at it.
There you go. Well, Headley now the last lefty standing. So she's got this all to herself and has a sleeper back there. 3-9.
She's done a really good job of keeping the ball in play. She's either gone light. I think she went high flush one shot. Light hits up in the 3-pin. Now it's the 3-9. So she's kept the ball in play.
Hazelwood, and she has been so good. so good.
Rock solid. She really has repeated her shots, her swing, real straight, tucks back in, keeps her elbow next to her body, allows her to keep that ball in front of her in the front part of the lane.
Trickier spare, no problem at all for Headley. Well, let's take a look again at the keys to winning and planning for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Confident shot making for Stephen F. Austin, filling frames. They've done a lot of that. Nebraska trying to stay calm, and a win in the last game certainly helped them do that. And I loved what Coach Straub said. Just look in the mirror and know you gave it a win or lose. If you gave it your all, you'll come away a champion.
He's had that philosophy for many years, and obviously it works. You know, you can see with the success that Nebraska has had. But really, that is such a key factor for the young bowlers that are watching today. If you give it your all, no matter what the end result, be proud of yourself. If you left it all out there, walk away, process it, and you know what? Learn from it.
Both right-handed bowlers for the Huskers have gone higher. In case of Brianna Zabarek, she actually crossed over, so they're going to have to make a bit of an adjustment here. Here's Kiara Grant. Ran into her parents, and boy, are they proud. And why not? I mean, so many of these parents have made the trip from either Texas or Nebraska, parts unknown, to make sure they were here to support these young ladies.
She definitely made a move. Left, ball skirts through the front part of that lane just a little bit. Doesn't quite make it up to the pocket. 2-4-5.
There's Melanie Crawford. She knows all about Stephen F. Austin, and she spent the first 2 years of her collegiate life there and then transferred to Nebraska. And an open frame for the Huskers. So a 17-pin lead now for the Lady Jets. Start this game for Stephen F. Austin.
That's a really good mental rebound for Stephen F. Austin, coming off that last game where they started with open, open, open. They filled 3 frames. They're back on their game. Now they just need to regroup, look at what the transition is on the lane, and make the moves either on the lane or with their hand. Ball speed, whatever they decide to do, whatever that communication is of what they're saying, they need to decide.
Last 2 shots for Mason have been strikes. Last 3. Got the dab working too. Oh, excuse me, 4 in a row. I shortchanged her one. Sorry about that, Jasmine.
And that's so key, getting her lined up, because she is that 9th frame bowler setting up that 10th frame. And some of these matches, as you've seen, have come down to the 9th and 10th frame.
Rush hour. Got good pin count out of that.
Pushes the ball a little bit to the right, which allows her swing to tuck behind her a little bit. Doesn't quite get the reaction she wants. Use a 2-pin.
See if it can be a 6-pin lead after this shot by Julia Bond. Strike in the fourth. She's been more locked in than any other Husker bowler. And leaves that 10-pin. Good shot.
Doesn't have a lot of axis rotation off her hand, but she's so smooth with it, and she doesn't grab it at the end, so it allows the ball to really read the lane. That's really what's kept her consistent.
There's Mom and Dad now. Remember last year, He was pregnant during the championship finals. And she had little son Ryder in September of last year. Now they're the proud parents of a 7-month baby boy. And they said we probably had to think about putting some noise in his crib of pins falling, because it was almost like he couldn't sleep if it was quiet.
That's funny. I think she said the little guy's been traveling since he was 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds familiar to me.
There's the spare on the fifth. Keeps it a 16-pin match. And we go back to the top of the order. And the Baker format, where you bowl 2 frames per game, the first and the 6th, and the 2nd and the 5th. This is actually the 5th frame for Stephen F. Austin. Trying to convert this spare. We have a strike down on the scoreboard, and we'll get that corrected. It's actually a spare for Stephen F. Austin in the 5th, not the strike. So now to the top of the order. You
can even see the demeanor change in Stephen F. Austin. They're smiling a little more. They filled the first 5 frames. Once again, that is a great. And people who are watching, I really take note of that, because the demeanor was different last game. Fell off her shot just a little bit, but luckily kept the ball on line with her target. Left the 10-pin.
Danielle Lynn, her last shot at this as a senior, helped really get the program going. High strike will work. Ten-pin conversion. So except for the third, Nebraska's filled frames. They continue to bowl from behind right now.
And through it all, you won't see Bill Straub, Coach Straub, change his demeanor very much. He just kind of goes with it, and it's over when it's over. But way too many frames left in his mind.
Gets him to mix up.
Straight swing, pushes a ball towards her target, and she's saying, get there, get there. Again, light hit. She's had really good ball reaction in that. Light hits, high flush. Hasn't left anything that isn't repairable.
Ooh. Hazelwood with her first real miss of the match. Not a split because a head pin is standing, but it's a tough shot nonetheless. A washout here.
Going to change to her spare ball.
And Melanie Crawford said, I'll let you finish.
Try to hit to the left of the head pin and get that pin to get those pins to knock right into the 10 pin.
How about that shot? What a shot. Back to back. Ooh, lucky thou to get the 10 out of there. Pocket splits are never any fun.
Ball gets down the lane just a little bit further. Doesn't get all the pin action she needed, but she gets one of them out. Leaves a 7 pin. Definitely spareable.
Kara Grant.
That's one of those shots where when the ball gets down the lane, just that extra few inches, ball just doesn't quite get up there, and the pin's not enough motion on the pin deck.
That looks good. That looks good. Strike in the 8th.
Pretty direct, 16 to about 12. And kicks the 10 right back. And talking to John Janowitz on this pattern, the majority of the girls did migrate left, got around that. The girls that liked to go around the lane a little bit more, 18 to 12 area. If you liked to go a little bit straighter in the front, just like the shot we saw, it was that 16 to 12, keeping the ball a little bit more in front of you in the front.
Well, that was happening. Melanie Crawford did convert her spare. She did knock down the 7 pin. And so we go to the foundation frame, the 9th. And first up, Jasmine Mason. And that stops a streak of 4 straight strikes by Mason. And she's got a little tricky spare here, the 2-8. Never fun to see that pin behind the other one.
Once again, 9th and 10th frame, still a very close match. Anything can happen.
It was light all the way, but lucky to get away with it, and just the 2 left standing. Sort of a must-make now for Jasmine Mason. Down 17 in the match.
She make a slight move off her strike shot, or just slow her ball speed a little bit.
Perfect. Well done. And a mark in the 9th, and you would assume there's going to be a mark by Kroschauer as well, just the 2 pin remaining. So a spare for each team in the 9th, and big advantage for Stephen F. Austin with a 17 pin lead going into the 10th. So Julia Bond knows she's got a double to have a chance at all. A mark by Stephen F. Austin would do it. And that's one. And she can keep applying the pressure and force a mark. 190 possible for Nebraska. Here's the bowler of the year, Schwartz. Just needs a mark. pin remains.
Really good shot off her hand. Leaves the 10 pin. Converts the spare.
You know, all these bowlers, especially the bowlers in that 10th frame, they face that pressure. How do you handle the pressure?
Well, it's you know, I don't care what level you're at. When you're under pressure, you got to have some keys that slow that heart rate down. And one of the things I really do is I breathe in through my nose, I hold it for a second, I breathe out through my mouth. And I usually do it right before I get up to pick up my ball. Kind of relaxes me. Then I set up and I go.
And now she's forced Schwartz to make that 10 pin.
Slowing your heart rate down, it's not very easy to do, and you know, it's different when you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you know there's 4 other people that are depending on you, that's an added pressure. So it's things that really people don't put enough emphasis on practicing their mental game, which includes breathing, relaxing, and it's a very important part of the game.
You could see a little tension here.
She stepped off the approach, but see, now that is a great thing that everybody should watch. If you are not ready, when you step on that approach, if there's another thought that entered your mind or you don't feel like you are ready to take that shot, step off and regroup.
She got it. Clutch. Stephanie Schwartz. I mean, that's a shot she'll make 99 times out of 100, but in that pressure situation, to come through for her team and to give them a 3-2 lead. She still needs a little pin count here to finish it off, but we'll see how much pin count after Bond gets through. And that reduced the need for a pin count. Really, just don't throw it in the channel.
Well, that's a thought.
Yeah.
Dear.
Would you, if you knew you just needed a few pins, would you just throw a straight ball right down the middle?
If I needed a few, yes, I would. On this case here, yeah. I would throw a regular shot, but yes, and I have done that before. Yeah. So it just depends on what the situation is. Yes.
Why not? That'll do it. That will do it. How about that? Stephen F. Austin coming through. And they've really applied the pressure now on the defending champions. 1 game away for Stephen F. Austin. They need 1 more to win their first ever championship, but they've got to beat the defending champ to do it. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. We welcome you back to North Brunswick, New Jersey. Could be all over after the next game, or will Nebraska come back and force a Game 7? We're all set for Game 6 here with the Hall of Famer Carolyn Doran Ballard. I'm Dave Armstrong, and we start with the senior Danielle Lynn bowling for Stephen F. Austin. Crossing over and leaving the 3. Spare and a strike so far for Lynn, who came in substitution in Game 4.
So she really hasn't gotten a first shot on this lane.
That's right.
That was key for her. Whether she, made a good shot or not, she needs to know. She needs to decide that and then make the move, because she does have 1 more shot on this lane.
She threw the same ball she threw to make the 2-7. Well, a light hit, but it works for Zabarik. Well, these Huskers aren't going down without a fight. 5 NCAA championships, including 2 in the last 3 years. And now back to Lynn to convert the spare.
It's going to be interesting to watch the demeanor of both teams during this game, because, here we are. It could be over for 1, okay, in both ways.
Yeah.
It could be Stephen F. Austin's first championship. It could be Nebraska winning and going to the final game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that pressure.
Hazelwood says, what pressure?
Fantastic shot. She's using a stronger ball. She's in an alpha crux. Ball is just reads that middle part of the lane. Smooth, and then just continues through the pocket, almost hitting the 8-pin as it's going through off the deck.
She's been one of the top 2 or 3 bowlers in this match. And now Bethany Headley with her personal coach, Kelly Belzeski.
I was just going to say, Kelly gets up to some of the players, right? Says a little something right before they're getting ready to get on the approach. Once again, it goes back to that, what was that last mental thought? Puts them in the right frame of mind.
What would you like for someone to say to you right before you get up?
Oh, geez, my friends are going to laugh when you hear my response. I don't want anybody talking to me right before I get up. I do enough talking.
Whatever she said, it worked. The Queen strikes again. And they have the picture, too. I mean, that goes with it. It's not just the curtsy and the bow and all of that, but it's also the picture, the photo op time.
She doesn't really like to get right and have to really swing that ball. She has stayed within her game. They have kept her in the right part of the lane so she can keep the ball in front of her and just execute her shot. Great play there.
Sarah Grant trying to answer. 10-pin lead to start things off for Nebraska with the double to start. And Melanie Crawford would love to punch a bigger hole in this game 6. And she did. A 20-pin lead now.
Playing a little bit straighter. When she gets that ball from 16 to 10, which is that tracer down the lane, every time she hits it, her ball goes high flush.
Spare strike, spare start for the Lady Jacks. 3 straight strikes to the start for the Huskers. Croshour. That looked good from the time it left her hand. Spare strike, spare strike.
Pushes the ball a little bit to the right, which allows her ball to go to the left, and she increases her ball speed to keep it right on line. I really like how she has bowled in these games. She has just stayed within the zone, increased her ball speed just a little bit, right on the money. Excellent.
So she's made a different type of adjustment, not just to move with her feet or with her mark, but also with her strength.
More with, yes, absolutely. And ball speed is something that people should learn to adjust just a little bit so you don't have to get out of your norm.
Make it 4 in a row for the Huskers. I told you these champions wouldn't go down without a fight.
This is why they have 5 championships. They never let themselves fall down. They rise to the occasion. The lanes are definitely coming to her, especially for the way she likes to throw the ball. They're going to be tough to beat.
Schwartz trying to double up. Got out there, never came back. Look at Steve Lemke. He doesn't seem too concerned. With the young baby at home, he might be losing some sleep too, you know. That happens. Could it be 5 in a row for Nebraska? Could it be? It could be. Wow, what a statement. And a 40-pin lead.
fabulous first 5 frames. You could also see the girls get on the approach, take a deep breath.
An open frame in the 5th. Rare open for Stephen F. Austin, and boy, it's looking more and more likely we're going to a game 7. As Shakespeare would say, the game is afoot. Lynn. Right now, all out of sync, the Lady Jacks. You know, the other team, they're trying to ignore what the other team is doing, but it's impossible when they've rolled off 5 straight strikes, and they're all smiles. Make it 6 in a row. And that's sort of a, oops, I didn't mean to do it, but I'll take it.
The last shot, I should say the first shot, when she got up there on this lane, she was definitely a little bit more up the back of it. That ball had a little bit of a smoother motion. Great shot. That one, she definitely came around over on the top of it. And once again, you can see she got the break, though. Went Brooklyn.
Great conversion on the baby split. I'm going to ask because I know you know. Has there ever been a Baker format 300?
Yes. As a matter of fact,
I knew you'd
know. Well, as a matter of fact, in the PBA team, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it yet, but you'll see a 300 game.
Oh. Well,
it's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Way to blow that one, but it's okay, really. I think the word's already out. Spoiler alert. I'm not sure in collegiate bowling. I want to say I remember a 299 or a 298. There was a not on TV. Okay, so Becky was our see? Right. Becky was our
we have
voice of reason over there.
Crack statisticians on
but
hand,
not on TV.
So there has been a collegiate 300 Baker format, but not on television.
Correct.
Well, let's do it on TV. Wouldn't you like to see a game 7 and a 300?
Now, I would say there has to be an extra trophy for that one.
Yeah.
There has to be. Or some jacket or ring. Becky's laughing at me.
See all that talk about it. First non-strike of the match.
An absolutely fantastic shot, though, off her hand. She has been the steady Eddie on the team, just keeping the ball in play, getting the carry on the really, really good shots. On the shots where maybe didn't quite catch it, ball went a little bit too long, leaving pins that are spareable.
Open frame, not only first non-strike, but first open frame, but comes at a time when Nebraska has a 62 or 52 pin lead. Oh, it's down to 49 now with that miss. And a strike in the 7th. So Stephen F. Austin saying, well, we're not done yet. Let's just string some together here to end this game. Apply the pressure right back on Nebraska.
This is where the momentum can change immediately in a game. And you need to take advantage of it.
Well, they're just staring right at that trophy, too. You saw it right there on the lanes. They're within grasp. Another washout. Crawford will try to get him back on track after the open frame in the 7th. open frame, and not a good sign for the Lady Jacks, and they're probably already starting to think ahead to a Game 7 now.
Absolutely, and this is where, on this 9th and 10th frame, do we try something different to give our other players on the team an idea of what may be out there? Well, here's the other philosophy to that. They're not going to bowl on this lane again. They're moving back to the right lane. They need to really focus in on what they are doing, meaning Nebraska,
right,
on that lane, what adjustments have they made, and they need to be really quicker at it.
Well, really, Nebraska at this juncture just needs to come up with 9 more pins, and they'll win it. So only a 196 maximum gain possible for the Lady Jacks. And you can see Nebraska already at 187. 196 is the highest possible total for Stephen F. Austin. So all they need is 10 pins to wrap things up. That'll do it. Nebraska will force a Game 7 with that shot. We'll finish out this game, but there will be a Game 7 for the Women's NCAA Championship. Do you notice whether there is an edge for one particular lane or the other, and where you would want to bowl if you had a choice?
Well, right now, higher seed will choose what lane they want to.
That means Nebraska.
Start at front break, exactly. Okay. If this were me right now, Nebraska has to really consider that. Well, Stephen F. Austin obviously does not like that left lane.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, they just shot, or they're going to shoot basically a 160.
And they were at 164 the last time.
Exactly.
On this lane.
Okay. Me, I would probably, it's how you feel about your team. Are they stronger in the beginning or are they stronger at the end? If I were Nebraska, I'd make them finish on that left lane.
Yeah.
I think I would make them finish because Nebraska has stayed strong on both lanes.
Yeah.
So make them have to finish and make them have to make good shots on the lane that they have not been lined up on.
That's a good point. So it's not necessarily the lane that you prefer, but you also know the lane the other team doesn't prefer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So a 160 in this game and a 164 the last time they were on this lane. And Nebraska has already made the decision, and you are right. They have gone with a strategy. They're going to force Stephen F. Austin to try to come together where they've struggled twice in a row on this left lane. Nebraska will stay on the right for Game 7. It's their choice.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. This is what Stephen F. Austin's going to have to battle this game. Number one, they need to get lined up and quick. Number two, mentally, they have got to stay tough because Nebraska is shooting 230. So you already know you're going to have to shoot. If they stay on track, you're going to have to shoot 200 plus.
That's right. And Nebraska, the last 2 games on this pair, they won 2 games ago, 227 to 164. They're going to be in the 230s to 160 this time. So they've got to be brimming with confidence going into that Game 7. And that wraps things up. A nice finish for Nebraska, and they win at 237 to 160, setting up a Game 7 for the trophy. The 2016 NCAA Women's Bowling Championship. Nebraska has struck their way to force a Game 7 for the championship. And it's coming up next on the U.
The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. We help you live life differently. And in part by Joe's Crab Shack. Crack the crab. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. We help you live life differently. And in part by Joe's Crab Shack. Crack the crab.
We started 2.5 hours ago, I should say, and Nebraska and Stephen F. Austin have now forced a Game 7. Nebraska trying to win their second championship in a row and their 6th overall for their head coach, Bill Straub, and for the Husker Nation. Meanwhile, Stephen F. Austin, this is their second straight year facing Nebraska in the finals, and the Lady Jacks are trying to win their first ever NCAA Women's Bowling Championship. They're all playing for a trophy over there, but they're playing a whole lot more than that. The NCAA Gymnastics Championships is on the air, and it's currently airing on ESPN News. The Gymnastics Championship is on ESPN News, presented by Northwestern Mutual. We will get you to that Gymnastics Championship at the conclusion of this bowling championship. Danielle Lynn. And a strike to start. So Danielle Lynn, the leader of this team as a senior, comes through with a big strike.
They need to come out charging. That is going to be one of the keys. Nebraska doesn't let go, and they don't let down. They just keep fighting back, so you've got to put the pressure on them.
Zabaric. A little high. Uh-oh. And a split to start for Nebraska. Well, the drama within this game is, can Stephen F. Austin figure out the left lane? And Nebraska, who started so strong in the last game, goes right through the nose here and leaves the 4-6-7 split. So get the pin count in that first frame.
You know, we have a little bit of a commercial break, and I'm telling you, it's very hard to wait and then come back and be, you know, pumped up and keep your ball speed up. But it's very important to mentally prepare for that. She looked a little bit slow on the shot, ball went through the nose.
Ooh, good shot by Hazelwood, the freshman again. And the 10-pin tap.
2 aggressive shots in the first and second frame. Real good shot. Flat 10, needs to just stay on the spare, move on to the third frame.
Now Headley. You know, you look at the number 2 position bowlers for each of these teams, the freshman Hazelwood and the senior Headley, and both have been very, very solid throughout this match.
Absolutely. They've kept the ball in play. What did we talk about earlier? Keep the ball in play. If you leave a pin standing, make the spare. Must fill frames. And honestly, in those few games, by not filling frames, it cost them, the win of the game.
Well, Nebraska almost started with back-to-back splits, but got the 7 to leave. And now it's just the 6-10 remaining.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think she had missed a spare her prior shot. So once again, need to regroup.
That's right.
Make an aggressive shot.
Well, again, tension also filling Game 7. There's no room for error now.
Well, Coach Strop said they need to stick to fundamentals and get their anxiety under control because pressure is going to be there.
All right, a mark in the second.
Stephen F. Austin, they said, don't get caught up in the other team. Pay attention to what we are doing and stay in that moment. And that's what they need to key on right now.
Once again, if you're looking for the NCAA Gymnastics Championship, it's currently airing on ESPN News. A light hit and leaving the 7-pin.
Another good shot, keeping it in the pocket. She definitely made a little bit move left, got that ball down to the tracer, came in a little bit light. Just stay there, make your spare. Key words I asked for the coaches. What would you say about Nebraska? And he looked right at me and said, competent. I said, after 5 championships, I would think so. That was a great shot. 17-10. That tracer down lane is the key. I don't know. People argue about that shot in bowling. I say it's just a bad break. I mean, it's a great shot. Just a bad break. Everybody goes, it's not a bad break. Your ball didn't go through the pins right. Well, whatever. You hit the pocket. I mean, it happens. What are you going to say? You know, can't overanalyze.
With the spare in the third, so it remains an 11-pin advantage for Stephen F. Austin as we head to frame number 4 in game number 7.
Coach Lemke, when I asked her word for her team, she didn't even hesitate. She said determination. And I said, does that have anything to do with what happened last year? She said, yes.
They lost to Nebraska 4-2 last year. That's a good shot. Paige Kroshower has been really solid.
This is what you need, keeping that ball right in front of you. Great line of the pocket. She has just made some excellent adjustments. She has been the key to this middle of the game right before getting to the 5th frame. I mean, that 3rd to 4th, she motivates people. Rock solid.
Boy, look at that, Jasmine Mason. Better than 50% of the time she gets a strike. Another good shot, leaving the 10.
Really good shot. Again, everybody at home who's watching, please look at the physical talent and the athleticism these women have. I mean, leverage, driving into the line. And one of the keys, again, if you ever go back to watch the show, how the ball just swings naturally. It's loose. There's no muscle. Drops from the top, which then allows you to do whatever you want with your hand. Spare in the 4th and a chance now for a 22-pin lead. The bowler of the year, Stephanie Schwartz. Coaches of the Lady Jacks have really built this program. It's only been in existence for 6 years. Their 5th year on that sideline. Amber and Steve Lemke. Husband and wife. 2 in a row for the Lady Jacks. She let that one go. You could see by her little arm going, roll, roll, roll. But that's what great fundamentals do for you. If you're allowed to just keep the ball on target for what you're trying to do and allow that ball to just roll off your hand without any force.
Julia Bond was the most outstanding bowler in the tournament last year as a freshman. strike for Nebraska in the 5th frame.
Again, another steady Eddie. Keeps the ball in play. Doesn't try to do anything that deviates from what she's really good at.
Two of the best bowling programs in the country. Nebraska has proven that for over 20 years. Stephen F. Austin, the new kid on the block, trying to knock off last year's champion. Got him to mix up, and 3 in a row. Danielle Lynn.
Gets the ball just a little bit right at that tracer down lane, but it still had enough to come back. Catches the light hit.
Pressure really now on Zabaric trying to double up.
Pre-shot routine, practice swing, ready to go.
It's good. It's real good.
Much better shot. Much smoother through the swing. Her hand was in a much better position. She can get over the top of it. That ball read the lane much more smooth. That motion. Ball hit the 8th pin going off the deck.
Dakota Hazelwood with a little deep breath. Wow. Pouring it on now, the Lady Jacks. And that freshman, Dakota Hazelwood, saying, my work is done.
My 2 shots are done. I'm good. We talked about this. They needed to make the adjustment. Nebraska did the right thing by making them bowl in that left lane, but they made the adjustments quick, and they were aggressive. So now we just need to see if Nebraska answers the call.
Again, that last word of encouragement from Kelly Belzeski. And now Bethany Headley trying to make it 3 in a row for the Huskers. Another good shot, just leaving that 7. Don't forget the NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championships currently airing on ESPN News. So if you're looking for that, go to ESPN News. It'll be on ESPNU at the conclusion of this bowling championship. Headley disappointed, but she needs to go up there and make that 7. Unless they make a substitution here, which I don't think they're going to do. She just had to sit down and think about it for a second. I think she probably thought that Stephen F. Austin was going to bowl in the 8th, and so she sat down, but then realized, oh, nope, it's still my turn. Calmly hits the 7. Remember, she put one in the channel trying to make the 7 earlier in this match. So an important mark, but now Nebraska coming down to that 8th, 9th, and 10th frames. They're down 33, Stephen F. Austin. They can now take a look at that trophy that is just really literally inches away from them, and they can feel this first ever NCAA championship within their grasp. How about that? The Lady Jacks. 5 in a row for Stephen F. Austin.
Again, look at this. 18 right down to that tracer. Great shot. Light hits have been carrying. They made the move. They were going high and light on that lane. Not lined up. Wow. Great adjustments once again. Great communication from top to bottom on that team.
Great bounce back for Stephen F. Austin. This is the lane where they bowled a 160 in the last game and a 164 in the game on that lane before that. shots light for Melanie Crawford. Another mark, but they need to string together 4 straight strikes to close out the game to have any chance at all, the way Stephen F. Austin has been putting them together from the 4th frame on, and now we come to the 9th frame.
Foundation frame and this frame right here. 8 of 13. I mean, that is amazing. Unbelievable. She has bowled just so great. Another good shot.
How about that? Stephen F. Austin.
Look at this. She had just been on target. Hits that just to the board of that tracer, to the right of it, and still she had one of the best reactions and just kept it online and increased her ball speed. Unbelievable.
Danielle Lynn, the lone senior on the Stephen F. Austin teams, almost can't believe it. She came to Nacogdoches when this program was just in its infancy. And now Danielle Lynn and the Lady Jacks, no, they're just moments away from carting off that trophy. The tears are already starting to flow. See the disappointment on the Huskers, and for Melanie Crawford wiping a tear. Her senior campaign, but she had a championship last year.
And as we've known, it's a proven fact. We will see Nebraska in this situation again.
Julia Bond has again showed her class and dignity and excellence. But she already knows that this match has already been wrapped up by Stephen F. Austin, no matter what she does.
Boy, after her first few shots, she just had another one. Great reaction. Kept the ball in the pocket, just repeating the shots. Another thing we see out of these athletes is that their repeating of their shots is just, they do it more and more and more often.
Now they're celebrating now, and why not? Nacogdoches, welcome home a champion. Stephen F. Austin Lady Jacks win their first ever NCAA Women's Bowling Championship. Congratulations to Steve Lemke and his wife Amber, and their new son Ryder, who's become a great good luck charm for the Lady Jacks this year. Lady Jacks, knowing they've got it wrapped up, will bring in one of their subs for the final roll. Paige Beanie. That can't be easy. No warm-up, just get out there and throw it and leave the 10-pin. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Lady Jacks of Stephen F. Austin, the 2016 NCAA Women's Bowling Champions. Their first title in school history.